LSU is the greatest college baseball program in the country, and they are the face of the sport. Jay Johnson is the best coach in college baseball. LSU is the standard. What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us, and thank you for making Crain and Company a daily watch or listen. Remember, without you, there is no us. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning. As usual, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver, Blaine Crain, joining today. We've entered a point during the sports calendar. Some people call it sports purgatory. College baseball's over. We still have 8,000 MLB games left in the regular season. NBA's done. NHL's done. Boys, it's starting to smell like college football or football in general. But first, what a show, just in general, put on by LSU in the College World Series final. They are the national champions. Two incredible games on the mound. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what happened. But the biggest story, guys, happened in the first inning with Coastal Carolina having not one, but two coaches thrown out of the game in an elimination game. In the College World Series final series, best 2 of 3, and you're already down one, you lose your head coach first, then you lose your first base coach. David, before we show this video, I mean, y'all were watching it like I was watching it. I was shocked that this happened and got to this point. Do want to talk about who was right, who was wrong, but just how surprised were you when you saw this?
Well, I want to say that I was shocked, but this is standard operating procedure for the NCAA. They continue to get moments like this wrong, and you threw out the coach in the first inning of the game. I can't believe it. And then I find out afterwards that this guy got fired by Major League Baseball. You were a Major League Baseball umpire for 7 years, and now you got sent down to college baseball? Forget that. The college baseball game doesn't need you. To be honest with you, I don't care what the coach said. That's where everything turned. The conversation turned to this was like, well, what did the coach say? Let's find out. I don't care. I don't care if he called you a cheater and said that LSU paid you off. Referee the game. Like, call balls and strikes. Forget about what the coach says. I think this is one area where college football actually gets this right. The things that I've heard some of my coaches say to referees, I can't imagine what you two guys were saying. And y'all were assistant coaches, okay? And I've never seen a head coach in a football game get thrown out. And I think you were talking about Tommy Tupperville may have gotten thrown out.
Yeah, there's a rule in college football where if you get two,
but for the most part,
you can get tossed.
For the most part, though, college football coaches are allowed to say what they want, air their grievances, and the referees stick to the game and do their best to manage a game and keep them back. This right here, to me, is all about ego, and this is an umpire saying, hey, it's the College World Series for me too, man. I want to get some TV time.
Yeah, Blaine, I'm a firm believer, and we've got the video queued up here, but I'm a firm believer in two things can be true at once. Obviously, you cannot argue balls and strikes, but there is a leash, and if you're an umpire, you have to know the circumstance of the game that you're playing in. So should Kevin Schnall have come out of the dugout after the umpire told him about the warning, even though he wanted that explanation? He probably shouldn't have come out of the dugout. If he doesn't come out of the dugout, I don't think he gets tossed. But if you're the umpire, you've got to be able to read the room a little bit here, and you got to have, why would you not just walk over to him and say, Coach, it's the College World Series final. If you say another word about balls and strikes or anybody in this dugout or any other coach says about it, I am going to throw you out of this game. I'm not afraid to throw you out.
Why can't I argue balls and strikes?
That's a whole different, I don't think you're wrong. I feel like the head coach should be able to argue balls and strikes. The head coach, not the assistants. But that is the letter of the law. But baseball is a sport of unwritten rules. Like there is a give and take of an umpire understanding a situation. So let's play this clip, and then I want you to tell me what you thought about it. Let's go ahead and play it. This is right before he gets tossed when he walks out of the dugout talking to the umpire. Go ahead and play it. Yeah, for what? You missed 3 pitches. You missed 3 pitches.
So he already got warned by that point.
He was walking out to ask about the warning. Now he's already been tossed. There's the umpire walking back. Now I'm going to get my 2 cents worth.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting everything for it.
And we're going to talk about this goofy-ass other umpire falling down and then blaming it on him. But this is when it escalates and goes out of control. Just what did you think when you saw it? You played baseball a long time, just like I played baseball a long time. There's a way to go about this and a way not to go about it. What did you think?
Well, one, you have to know where you are just in the World Series, and two, where you are in the game. You're in the bottom of the first inning.
Yeah.
As an umpire, there's not a lot you can do to me that can get you thrown out in the bottom of the first inning of the World Series. But obviously, guys have different leashes, different size leashes. You can say certain things. But this isn't surprising to me because umpires love to make it about who? Themselves. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you're a player, you're a coach, you're an umpire, you're a fan, or you work at the concession stand, you have an ego, right? You have a personality. To me, one, it doesn't matter if you got thrown out in the first or the seventh. I don't think Coastal's winning this game.
No, that's not. I don't think that had an incredible bearing on it.
That there has to be a line, one that can't be crossed, right? If it does get crossed, then you do deserve to get tossed. But nothing I saw from him deserved to be tossed. Look, I can argue balls and strikes, okay? And there's got to be a different way you can go about it. That's fine. If I come out and just talk to you in the bottom of the first, it's like, hey, there's 3 pitches there that I thought were strikes that you call ball, blase, this. But to Cone's point, a guy who got fired from the Major League Baseball, you come down to the College World Series, the biggest series in college baseball, and you toss a guy in the bottom of the first inning for walking out of the dugout.
Starting a podcast can feel overwhelming. Scripts, setup, filming schedule, logos, and trying to figure it out, well, it's tough. But like we found out, when you're launching something new, your to-do list grows daily, threatening to take over your life. Finding a tool that both helps and simplifies can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Make that noise on them, David.
Cha-ching!
Oh, yeah. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide and 10% of all U.S. e-commerce. At Shopify, they're behind everyone from big names like Gymshark to that new brand you may have just discovered, like Crain & Company, the greatest sports show there ever was. And starting out is simple. Just pick one of their hundreds of templates and customize it to match your style. No design skills needed. And creating content, that's where their AI really shines. You need product descriptions or catchy headlines? Done. You want better product photos? They got you covered. The best part is how easy marketing becomes, though. You can reach your customers wherever they are, whether they're scrolling through social media or checking their email. Because behind the scenes, Shopify handles everything else. Inventory, shipping, returns, all those details you don't want to worry about. And the truth is, if you're ready to sell something, Shopify's ready for you. So turn your big business idea into
Cha-ching!
with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Crain. That's shopify.com/CRAIN. Shopify.com/Crain. Yeah.
For walking out of the dugout.
And this is the same guy that threw out Clemson's best player in a regional a couple of years ago. That was just.
Did he?
Oh, there's a pattern of behavior.
And then he got 2 extra games,
Then
right?
he got 2
So
extra
if they were
games.
playing the final today, he'd be out.
Well, what I think would have happened, because when we showed the clip, you saw the one umpire fall, and if you actually watch the video, the Coastal coach did not bump him and knock him down. The guy came swooping in there to try and break it up and got his foot caught on another umpire and fell down, got embarrassed, and then said, all right, well, you continued arguing, you bumped an umpire. It's now a 2-game suspension, which would have not allowed him to coach the final game if Coastal would have won. But I believe that the NCAA would have reviewed the footage, and I don't think they would have.
On TV, they didn't say it was for bumping. They just said it was for continuing to argue.
For continuing to argue. But when you look at the press conference, and we're about to play what Kevin Schnall said about it, he actually mentions that the guy said, all right, that's now 2 for bumping an umpire. Let's go ahead and play this clip from the Coastal head coach after they've already lost, right? You've already lost to LSU. LSU's the national champions. Let's play this clip.
There was a guy that came in extremely aggressively, tripped over Campos's foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension and said, bumping the umpire. Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism.
That's true. Yeah, the end of that's a bar. The end of that's a bar. Yeah, wow. I agree with him on that. But to me, the lesson to this is, I think both parties were wrong in the way they went about it. But I think the most egregious act was the umpire throwing the head coach out of the game, and then the same umpire throwing the first base coach out of the game when he walked behind him and just threw his hands up. I just.
What was Kevin Schnall wrong about?
What was he wrong about?
Well, yeah, he said both parties.
Well, again, I think if you're Kevin Schnall in the back of your mind, you always have to think, I can't get thrown out of this game.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get thrown out of this. So if it was me, I would just tell you what I would have done in the situation. The minute the umpire looked over there and warned us, and he said he could barely hear the warning, I would have said, okay, I'd have turned around and told everybody in the dugout to shut up for the rest of the bottom half of that inning. Then in between innings, I would have walked out to the umpire and said, can you explain to me what that warning was about? And then you explain it, and then you say, well, you missed 3. I think the umpire got embarrassed because we're not in commercial break. Like, the game's on. It's in front of everybody. And he had that quick trigger. I thought that would have been the best way for Kevin Schnall to handle it. But if I had to sit here and say who committed the worst, crime in this situation, quote unquote, I think the umpire actually throwing him out of the game.
Schnall didn't hear the warning, right?
No, he heard the warning. He said there's 25,000 people there. I could barely hear him say something about the warning. The minute I hear the word warning as a head coach, everybody else shut up. Once this inning ends, I will walk over there and I will ask him.
I don't think, I thought he didn't hear the warning. He said there's 25,000 people in that stadium. I didn't hear a warning.
There's 25,000 people there, and I vaguely hear a warning issued.
He said, I've heard something about a warning. That's why I went out there to tell him.
That's why he went out there. And the minute he went out there and then he said, you missed 3, that's when oh boy threw him.
See, you shouldn't get ejected for that.
We're not arguing.
I don't think he did anything wrong.
We're not arguing shoulda, woulda, coulda. What you have to do as a head coach is realize, okay, obviously this umpire's got rabbit ears or something. Like, this guy is obviously very ego-driven. Kevin Schnall was assistant for 24 years. He knows a rabbit-eared ump when he sees one. He should have just taken the higher road, and during that half inning, during the commercial break, gone over there and said, what is the warning? We feel like you missed 3. And the umpire would have said, well, I don't think he would have thrown him out of the game. Let's talk about something that separates the men from the boys. Talking about your health. Now, the Emerson multivitamin from Responsible Man is packed with 33 key ingredients that support your body and give it the energy you need. And new for this season, Responsible Man just launched Theodore Protein with 25 grams of clean, American-made protein power. It's fuel for men who lead, protect, and show up strong. No soy boys and no shortcuts. We're doing it the right way. But American men, unfortunately, we're on average 30 to 50 grams of protein short. It's not going to work for World War III. Leads to fatigue, slower recovery, and muscle loss over time. A quality protein supplement like Theodore helps close the gap fast, clean, and strong. Plus, Responsible Man's a Daily Wire Ventures company, so you know these vitamins and protein are made right here in the USA with good old American quality. And we wouldn't endorse this if we didn't believe in it. This vitamin's part of our daily routine, just like watching game tape and playing mind games with our opponents. It's our secret for living long, healthy lives. So here's the deal. Head on over to responsibleman.com because they've got a Father's Day sale. And with your first order, you can get 50% off, but you need to use our code BOOSTER. So go to responsibleman.com, use that code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at checkout, but hurry, the deal won't last long. Responsibleman.com, code BOOSTER, 50% off, 100% healthy protein. I don't think you would have thrown him out. So, but the umpire was the most wrong in this situation.
Yeah, but I don't want it to overshadow LSU's champion.
Oh, dude.
Because, like, it was a truly dominant performance, and Coastal wasn't coming back in this.
I want to say this, and if y'all watched this show before, you know no team pays us a check, no league pays us a check. So if you're a Tennessee fan or an Arkansas fan or a USC baseball fan, I want to go and say this. LSU is the standard of college baseball. LSU is the greatest college baseball program in the country, and they are the face of the sport. 2 out of the last 3. You've got 8 overall now? I know USC has 12, but they won their last one like 97, 98, something like that. LSU is the standard. Jay Johnson is the best coach in college baseball. And you know what I thought was cool about this one? This wasn't a gorilla ball, olden days LSU scoring 15 runs and winning. They won the title with pitching and defense. They won a 1-0 game, and they won a 5-3 game. Kate Anderson goes all the way the first game, 9 innings, shutout against a really good Coastal lineup. Then Ianson comes in there, gives you 7 solid. You gave up the 2-run tank to cut it to 5-3. Then you bring that monster out of the bullpen, that offensive tackle that's throwing 101 with a 93-mile-per-hour slide piece, and you shut him down. But the defense, too. The unsung hero of this LSU team, because you'll hear about Curiel, the freshman leadoff hitter. You'll hear about Monster Milam. You'll hear about, Bear Jones. I thought Michael Braswell's defense at third base, especially in the first game, saved their ass. He may have hit .60 or whatever in the College World Series, but they were a team. We always say the teams that win the most, what, guys? They win the most ways. And LSU, dominant on the mound, on the defensive side, got enough hits to win it. It was a very, very impressive overall World Series. Guys, you know the only team to beat LSU in the postseason? Little Rock.
Yeah, that's right.
Little Rock.
Yeah.
Only team to beat them.
Yeah, man. His play at third base was absolutely incredible. But then he got a base hit in the last game.
One, yeah. You had to feel good for him. You had to feel good for him.
And they beat so many different types of programs to win the championship and didn't drop a game in Omaha. You back-to-back wins over a team that won 26 straight, and that Coastal team was really solid. But just like Matt Moscona came on and said in the preview of this series, it was the pitching. I mean, they couldn't hit Anderson at all. And then Ianson comes in and just absolutely shoves anything he wanted to do with the baseball he was doing. They really didn't even need that much offense. It's not like they were out there with Tommy Tanks going yard every other at bat. And that's just part of it. When you have the guy who is first in strikeouts in the country and third in strikeouts in the country, it's a pretty good recipe to win a 3-game series.
Well, you're rolling out two of the best. I mean, you're not in college baseball. You're not going to see two.
So I picked him to win it
back to back. Yeah. Right. Well, and you beat Arkansas twice. Let's not forget about that. You beat them twice. As far as Coastal goes, obviously it hurts now. Again, this is Kevin Schnall's first year. That's a hell of a debut performance as the head coach at Coastal. You know, it hurts for him. Morrison getting run. That's what ultimately cooked him. Your best guy,
3 1/3.
Your best guy had his worst outing. And, you know, I've heard people talk about, well, the strike zone wasn't really in Morrison's favor. That's not the truth. LSU, they weren't intimidated. They worked the counts. They played the right way. They let the ball travel and go the other way. I just thought it was a very, very professional performance by LSU against two major league pitchers. Guys, Fluky gave up 1 run for Coastal. Like in game 1. Cade shoved. They both shoved.
Well, I mean, there's nothing Coastal could have done that would have surprised LSU. There's nothing. LSU, from an experience standpoint, has more experience being in these games. 2, from a depth standpoint, has more depth, just like Cone said, that the best 1-2 punch in college baseball. From a depth standpoint, LSU has one, if not the most depth in the country. And even if the bats aren't hot, that's what makes LSU great, and that's why I picked them to win it. They can win in multiple ways. They can win 1-0 games. They can win 8-7 games. They can win 4-3 games. And the only team to beat them was Little Rock, which is wild. But LSU, from 1 to 9, from catcher to center field and everywhere else, was the best team in the country. And it really wasn't close.
And they had that clutch gene, too, though.
Yeah.
The difference between LSU and Arkansas is when the lights were the brightest and it mattered the most, who came through, who fell apart. And it wasn't like, you know, LSU just bashed it around against Arkansas. They put the ball in play, and Arkansas made the mistakes. They did what they had to do. They moved runners when they had to move runners. I just thought it was
and
so
small ball
impressive.
at times, too.
And you know, great teams take on the personality of their head coach. And when all that crazy stuff was going on in the first inning and Coastal's coaches getting thrown and Morrison saying the third base coach is looking in his glove and tipping pitches, LSU, they interviewed Jay Johnson like an inning later. And they asked him, you know, what were you telling the guys after this happened? He's like, just keep your composure. Just be poised. I mean, we got to control what we can control. We got to go out there and play the right way. And his team has totally adopted his mindset. And I'm just so impressed with Jay Johnson, who was 1 out away at Arizona from winning a national championship. Didn't get it. Now he's won 2 out of the last 3. And it's there's just something right about LSU being good in baseball.
So this is 2 out of the last 3, like you said, 4 this century, and then they had 4 in the 90s as well. So that's 8 overall. Yeah, USC has 12, but 1998, I think was the last time they won one. So I think that it's really hard to argue that LSU's not the best college baseball program.
Yeah,
without it,
no argument.
With that, and if you're Brian Kelly now, you got to do something big, buddy. Got to do something big. LSU football expectations are very high. I just hope our boy T-Bob made it out.
Like just make the SEC championship game big.
Nah, I think you got to do more than that.
What do you
with this team? I think you got to at least make the playoff.
He had a Heisman Trophy winner, Jake. Come on, man.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
Yeah, that's right. LSU fans.
What
like,
else?
all right, that's it.
What else do you want?
Yeah, like, that's good. 9-win season. Didn't make the postseason. But no, we want to.
So the LSU Tennessee baseball trajectory right now, though. Which one are you taking?
I'm taking LSU.
Yes, they just.
I'm taking. I mean, guys, the SEC's won 6 in a row.
It's a lot.
I mean,
A lot of people don't like to hear that.
a lot of people don't like.
don't
Well,
like
look,
to
if you
hear
keep
that.
adding more and more
Here we
teams to the
go.
conference,
All right.
eventually that's the whole country.
Yeah, well, Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, we keep adding more teams, but LSU keeps
He's
winning.
winning it. Yeah, that's exactly right. We want to know in the comments, what do you think? Was the umpire wrong? Was Coastal's head coach wrong? And who is the face of college baseball? Is it LSU? Is it Tennessee? Is it somebody we're not even talking about yet? But make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please keep sharing the show. Just like the chances of Kevin Schnall coaching in the college
Not coaching
series in the
today.
second inning.
Not coaching in
We're
today's game.
going. Gone.